Count to 20-ish. So hopefully it has buffered properly, right? So the life force dynamo effect within the designated constellation area and how it's been designated by, I guess, different architects. That life force dynamo effect is the masculine life force energy of the sun and its own feminine energy, kind of like quote unquote, most respectively, I guess protruding within a certain field, and that field is being more so charged, and the earth is kind of like having a direct opposition from how seeds come out of the germination of the earth, and as seeds go forth towards the life force that it's coming out of, it's as if like the life force of the masculine energy of the sun is kind of pulling us away from the earth, the opposition of the earth and the sun, right? So the life force dynamo effect, sun in any constellation, that life force dynamo effect is bringing out that designated constellation of the sun and the earth, and we're getting new energy from the constellation that the sun is in, quote unquote Taurus. And obviously, different cultures, and the underground really explains it way differently. Different cultures will classify the constellations not just necessarily as the traditional English American tropical astrology titles that they're given, right? And then obviously what's in the name esoterically, there's power and there's some type of quote unquote energetic differentiation, original open source within even a name, right? So there's a differentiation quality, meaning there's different energies within a title, and somehow we're all more or less having a relationship to that title, loosely or tightly. Loosely meaning we're taking it for face value, tightly meaning we're seeing the deeper value in the title, and we're seeing a different type of I guess how we're interrelated with the surface level titles, and then what it really means. So the sun being in Taurus, the new moon in Aries, that is kind of like that surface level esoteric battery effect is that has its own 30-day cycle within the sun, and it has its own unique mathematical calibration cycle within the moon charge of the new moon within the new sun. And within that, the sun and the moon are kind of protruding the energies from how their unique energetic attributes have an interactive dynamo effect with the constellations. Sun in Taurus, life force dynamo effect, the life force energy in the designated Taurus energy. The architects have designated the Taurus energy for that to be kind of like the earth vision, respectively. Taurus being the earth vision, some type of process of being accepting and satisfied with, I guess, the beautification of your connection to the ancestors, right? Taurus, kind of just that surface level, joyful, what is the real celebration, right? What is the real celebration? The real celebration is saying it's just having the ability to keep going on with new knowledge, and respectively that which preserves the knowledge most respectively. So within that surface level earth Venus sun energy, Venus the depositor of Taurus, and Venus receiving sun energy from Taurus, that's Venus's home, right? So wherever Venus is at, I think it might be like slightly in Aries, if I'm not mistaken. So within Venus being in Aries, Sun in Taurus, that's a unique like generator of energy, right? So within that energy, there's generating energies within the first and the second house of the admin cadmin body, and the earth being in Scorpio, right? So within the earth being in Scorpio, opposed the sun, the earth is kind of like bringing down and having new germination for the humans for them to go to some type of external reality of masculine energy generation, Sun and Taurus, right? And within the Sun and Taurus, Venus is having her own dynamo effect with, receiving the Sun and Taurus's energies and that going straight to Venus's line, and Venus and Aries respectively going to the Taurus and Libra houses, most respectively, and Pisces houses, because Venus has a unique rulership in Taurus, Libra, and Pisces. So Venus kind of like could have like a unique distribution and deposit to those houses and constellations wherever she is at, right? So she there's a unique kind of like accumulation in this vantage point of the solar system, Taurus and Aries constellation. There's a unique generation of those energies, and as the Aries and Taurus house are being amplified with life force energy, the solar plexus of the solar system, the sun is the solar plexus of the solar system, Venus the sacral chakra of the solar system, respectively. So that sacral and solar chakra is in spring. So the spring energies, we're having sacral and solar plexus support collectively. And I guess just on a standard, esoteric matrix level, Saturn could, kind of like oppose that, or kind of really kind of like, just to put it on a balanced perspective, it could kind of like really harshly inspect that and check that, right? And try to like see like, are we really qualified to do what we will do? And maybe we're not qualified, but we have just a weird, unique Saturn exaltation. So we're getting, on a blatant, kind of like on a basic blank level, we could kind of like, just kind of be with the Saturn gifts, but we're still working on the other energy currents to do our 1-2, right? Because we're still like, we still need to generate our own sovereign energy, and all the planets have a unique affiliation with sovereignty, most respectively, because they're all sovereign in a greater space. And for us to get a inner sovereignty, we have to learn from these planets, respectively. And so we're more or less learning how to like kind of like, see our relationship to the solar system picture of saying how there's a unique generation of energy within this angle of the solar system, and within the unique angle of the solar system, the moon on the surface level, it's having its own water dynamo effect, while it kind of like on just like the water body, the feminine water body, the feminine essence water body, it's kind of like saying, how the energy is kind of being like, how the quote unquote get and go energy of just kind of how we have some type of human soul, because the moon is like it's linked to like it's linked to the feminine body soul, right? Low key, but the feminine body soul to the physical body, respectively. So the moon energy, it's kind of like it's dynamic, it's vibrant, it's kind of like the physical soul energy accumulation, culmination, cauldron brewery, most respectively, energetic original open source or whatever. And within all of that, saying that, it's like the moon is kind of like its own feminine dynamic energy of this is where the collective feminine dynamic energy, the moon, new moon in Aries to full moon in Scorpio, the collective feminine dynamic energy is being tilled just on a deep feminine esoteric occult level. We're responding to the moon being in that energy, and we're figuring out our own moon, while the quote unquote the planets and the environmental states on the esoteric level, they're doing their own dynamical mechanics, and we're just following suit on the elemental level, right? Because the new moon is in Aries, and now the new moon is going to have a transition, kind of like quote unquote esoteric, kind of like a story reel effect from new moon to Aries to full moon in Scorpio. So we're responding to that collective feminine culmination of the moon starting in Aries, the moon having a new feeling of like, where is my just individuality, where is my like embodiment of just me, me observing life, me just going through life. Best part of a birthday, someone is asking, oh man, the whole thing, right? And every day's my birthday esoterically. So the whole thing, the ups and downs, you know, the gods are like, they're kind of like pushing you through the ups and downs of life, you know, because things, people come and go and stuff like that. Because these random questions come and go, right? So within saying this, Godfire, Astrology, episode 5, respectively, the new moon, esoteric story reel, original open source, right? On just a whole different thing or whatever. We're responding. The moon is making us respond to something, but since we're unconscious to it, we're not necessarily matching what the esoteric culmination effect is doing. The moon itself, original open source, number one intelligence on the underground, right? The moon itself is the feminine collective culminator processor. That's what the moon is. So the moon is the feminine energy collective culminator processor of the soul in the physical body, and us emanating some type of loosh effect within the collective responses of how the moon is having a collective cyclical effect from new moon in Aries to full moon in Scorpio, and the collective moon mechanics are starting that moon generation calendar from that, and our individual moon to unconscious to consciously, unaware to new awareness. We're kind of like, we could know how to respond to the new moon in Aries, to full moon in Scorpio, and now the moon is in Virgo. So it's been Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. So I missed a chapter within like the whole, my intuitive astrology approach. I did the dynamics of the best that I could, the Taurus through the houses. I did a different type of layout of the intuitive fixing structure, right? We started with the new sun in Taurus diagram of just Saturn, Neptune, Venus, right? The Saturn just being the hard mechanics of it. And then when it's Gemini season, I'll do a whole different thing, right? Because in Aries season, I started off with Uranus, but the new sun in Aries, the new moon was in Pisces, right? Because there's just a different type of like, orbital, like intermeshing kind of like, bilateral kind of bifurcation effect, esoterically, respectively, originally. And in the underground, I talk about it way different, right? So the new sun in Aries, I started it with, the base being Uranus. The new sun in Taurus, I started the base being Saturn. And now the new sun in Gemini, I might just start most standardly and respectively, the base being maybe Mercury, or just on a unique, quote unquote abstract level, new sun in Gemini, new moon in Taurus in about like give or take 2 weeks, because after Taurus is Gemini season. I might just start it off the foundation uniquely being Venus, because Venus is the feminine, upholder of, and we can't underestimate that, of how we have to kind of like be more calm and receptive in the feminine way. And there's a whole unique Venus game on top of the Neptunian games of just, the romantic competition of like you trying to get the loved one you want, and maybe someone might steal the loved one you want. That's the whole Venus dynamic. It's like, it's the love competition stuff, right? So in new sun in Gemini, new moon in Taurus, around like 2 or 3 weeks in Gemini season, we could, focus on maybe just, this is what we're focused on, not good, not bad. We're focused on some type of the animal body, not good, not bad, no judgment on the esoteric level. The animal body is focused on the Venusian aspect, right? We want to feel good, we want to feel comfy, but we can't focus on that too much, because then the other challenges will snap us back into that place, right? Because we could like want to feel good all we want, and then the other planets will snap us back to the reality of life, to the life of the reality, right? So in Gemini season, if you have a different type of balanced Libra approach, Gemini season, we could focus on the Venus stuff. But for some reason, I arranged it on a different metaphysical level for me to focus on the Taurus season with the Saturn stuff and the Neptune stuff. And it's just a different type of reality check that we have to go through, right? We have to like kind of snap ourselves out of like, there's unique archons that used to be in power. And the most unique thing about this whole astrology thing is, most respectively, is knowing that in a more or less context paradoxical level, is the Satan age is actually ending. It's concluding more or less, respectively, depending on the frequency, right, and depending on the karma, respectively, right, and depending on the surface level micro choices. Original open source number one, right. So within that, it's like the Satan age is actually ending if you have the balanced awareness and intelligence to want it to end, transcending and going beyond all of your protest, right? Having a finishing off the karma of a certain Satan energy and having a different balanced sovereignty to have a balanced relationship with the other planets, original open source, and seeing, the contrast of how the dark Satan age, that is concluding its guard most respectively, more or less, depending on, like, I guess, the frequency of things. So where the unique time and the critical logic and the critical precise logic here is like understanding in a different, I guess, spiritual sense that the Satan age could be ending if you want it to, but people have an affiliation with that. And within the Satan age, people could have just their own Satan karma versus Satan karma dynamic scenario, respectively, no judgment. That's just being the esoteric, logic and facts of it. And the Saturn and the Earth, they have a big affiliation, but the whole astrology hype from 2012 to, I guess, the present time to, to the different shifts of background energetic frequencies, just the basic human design community of 2027, respectively. Like, y'all know what I'm talking about. And the underground, like, y'all low-key have been observing for how long? And in the past life, y'all been low-key observing for how long? So it's just like, it's like all of this conformity mentalities of just like you having this mentality of people, you want people to conform to your way of thinking. And if they don't, you're going to kind of like throw dirt on them. That fucking donk ass logic is coming to a conclusion too, right? Because that doesn't even make sense, because you're learning from what you're watching. And since you're learning from what you're watching, that's benefiting you. And if you're hating on that, you're just kind of like you're like literally an inverted, distorted being, right? Just esoteric logic, right? So within saying all of that, it's saying like, the earth signs, and if we choose to focus on just like the Saturn karma, like life is like hard like that, and I'm not trying to demonize Satan entirely. I'm just saying there's a unique inclination of inversion, and that archonic guard being propelled to do that, and that archonic guard being confused by the other archonic guards intervening to balance that. The essence of the shift, right? The essence of perhaps on a context frequency level, the Satan age ending for you and maybe the whole collective, right? And to some intermeshing degree, it has ended because the divine intervention of just fairness, esoterically, has been introduced in the tech and beyond the tech. And what do I mean by in the tech and beyond the tech? We're really about the rhetoric, and it's illegal for y'all to claim your AI claims to be about this rhetoric, to like just kind of have like a replication with rhetoric. That's not entirely true. That's like literally esoteric. Like, y'all AI people and your inverted GMO intelligence and consciousness, y'all are literally breaking esoteric law without even realizing it, because you're proposing claims that you're not really about, and you're just trying to kind of like distort the replication, meaning you're not doing that entirely, right? You're just kind of like trying to like, it's like how do these people like, they just have an exaltation, right? For them to like, kind of be in this automation process of just kind of like doing some copy and paste tactic, and they have like some type of, material privilege to do that. That's because of the inverted, Satan age, right? Respectively. And that could be coming to a conclusion, and maybe there could be real fairness in the policies and the intelligence of the geopolitical discussions or not. Or you guys could vote for that fake rhetoric, and y'all could, quote unquote, respectively, energetically, quote unquote, deserve your karma, right? Respectively. So like the whole astrological hype is like the Satan age could be ending per the context of the frequency, right? And I'm not saying Satan is entirely bad. It's just part of the mechanics, but it's just like it's such a it's such a yeah, Venus is here too. Yeah, it's like working with these planets to overcome the disaster energy, right? Even though the disaster energy is there, right? The disaster energy, we're working with the planets to overcome the disaster energy. And if we want to, you know, standardly bite the hand that feeds us, respectively energetically, then low key on the esoteric scenario circumstance level, you're voting for some type of unique context of a disaster. You're allowing the inversion to happen collectively. So all of your rhetoric in the AI industries, it's esoterically illegal and fake because you're claiming it could do something and it's not even your original intellectual property, and you're just kind of confining it and like kind of condensing it in a way that's not entirely true. So that's esoterically breaking the law. And if the international law policy can't understand that, and the collective frequency of just intelligent consciousness votes for that Satan age, then we really can't complain, because energetically, cognitive dissonance or not cognitive dissonance, good bias or not good biased or whatever, we're voting for that thing, right? Based on the biases that we're supporting, right? And the biases that we're supporting, they could be distorted, inverted, esoterically, overly toxic, right? This whole thing, it's like low key, like the whole astrology thing, and you know, going like studying it, dreaming, going out in life, and then kind of like doing the whole get up and go to sleep kind of thing. In the end of it, it's not human, but it is human. So that's a big esoteric paradox, and that's cool how Google could just just learn, right? It's cool that y'all could learn, but like this is coming from a whole different divine intelligent processor, right? And hopefully it has its own foundational, base where it could contrast the original energies of how you guys just have a micro expression replication of it, esoteric intelligence beyond your AI. And now you could see you're receiving that energy. So now there has to be a fair energetic transaction with an inner geopolitical law and policy or not. And if it's not, it's because the collective, Satan age frequency, they have this, zapped program, distorted program, cognitive dissonance, energetic voting bias to vote for that. So esoterically, what am I really saying? There's really no complaining, because we could choose the higher balanced road or not, right? So the whole Taurus Earth energy, the Saturn energy, it's no joke, really. It's no joke, and like y'all, like and esoterically, y'all can do whatever you want. I'm just a messenger type of shit, right? So I'm just saying within the Taurus, within the Taurus energy, that's like Venus and Saturn. Venus maybe like kind of chilling out Saturn, but still Saturn's there, and Venus and Saturn kind of just having this kind of like, yard duty referee effect for the Taurus energies, right? And for the individual beings, right? The human being, having an inclination to all the zodiac signs, right? And the Taurus energy kind of like seeing, how we have to work for quote unquote esoteric beauty or whatever, esoteric beauty meaning just feeling good, right? Feeling good, looking at the brighter side of life type of shit, right? So within doing all of that, Taurus season, the earth karma will still be there for the earth humans, right? So, and a different esoteric paradox is within the astrology stuff, it's not human, but it is human because it's entertained. That's the grand experiment of it, right? And I'm not directly saying saying it's you, Trump. I'm not directly saying, I'm just saying it standardly, right? That energy and that intelligence notion is there, and maybe to some degree you could have that. I'm not directly saying it's you, Trigger, Wigger, Schligger, Nizza, Giga. So within saying all of that, I'm not saying it's you, Trump. I'm just saying to some percentage, you could have that inverted Satan energy of that, right? So I'm not trying to like dunk on Trump entirely. I'm just saying there's an intelligence beyond Trump, even though Trump is pretty fucking intelligent, right? He has his own gift of gab. He has his own way of kind of expressing narratives and summaries to family cultures and us receiving it in a way so it's kind of acceptable and entertainable, right? So that's just the air energies, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, right? We're all kind of in this together till we're not, right? Until the Saturn exaltations want us to have our own kind of not good, not bad, stubborn property, right? Or whatever, just esoterically saying it, So within the Taurus season, it's second house season. It's kind of like saying like obviously go back to the last video. Where's the Taurus energy playing out in your house, and wherever the Taurus energy is playing out in your house, that house could pull you to that direction, right? So Taurus through the houses, right? But in this video, I rather do new moon Aries to Scorpio, right? And new moon is in Virgo. So now the feminine energy is kind of having us to like incline of like get ready for school, Virgo energy. Get ready, like brush your teeth kind of stuff. Moon in Virgo is like brush your teeth, tie your shoes, make sure you look acceptable, and don't be too weird, right? Even though we have our own quirks and pet peeves, Virgo, some weird Virgo shit, right? Don't be weird, even though we have anxiety and our anxiety makes us weird and we think everybody's looking at us when they're really not, but they could be. And now our anxiety is increasing. I don't have that for some reason, but to some degree I might. But I just kind of like I don't like I understand that So but like the Virgo, so the moon and the Virgo energy, it's like I don't really care about that. I mean, more to some degree, more or less. It's all about like, it's all about matrix preparation, right? Like I don't care if I'm like I have to get ready to perform and people looking at me, but it just depends on the setting, right? But it's like Virgos could be kind of like have a weird anxiety, right? So the moon in Virgo, it's like, get your stuff together and mind your own business, Trigger. Because the Virgos are just like, they're going to analyze you to see what's good for the policy or what's not good for the policy. So the moon and the Virgo, it's like, get that energy to get that stuff together, trining the sun in Taurus. So that trine, that surface level sun and moon domino effect, the sun and moon trining, those are important trines because those are surface level matrix dynamo trine effects, right? So within that trine, that that metaphysical angular space calibration object, processulator, original open source, sun in Taurus, moon in Virgo, that trine is giving us more encouraging energies to kind of just like be at ease with I guess the physical reality, right? The earth, right? The physical reality of just knowing what to do within your, I guess, your beauty path, Taurus respectively, in just a casual sense being the beauty path. And then the moon in Virgo feeling and reacting to kind of like getting ready for school type of energy, getting ready to kind of like, socialize long-term, mutable earths, getting ready to socialize long-term. And then the moon is going to be Libra, Scorpio, full moon in Scorpio. When the moon is in Libra, slightly in this unique moon cyclical orbital calendar, moon in Aries to Scorpio. When it's moon in Libra, it's like we're gonna more or less know how to like, a different esoteric justice is allowing us to survive, and we could feel that moon in Libra. There's some type of weird balance in there, and then after that esoteric justice is there, the hard karma of Libra, or kind of more or less alleviating or non-alleviating, pressing down the karma, because Libra is like Saturn, Jupiter, and Venus respectively. Moon in Libra in like pretty much tomorrow or 2 days from now, we're gonna feel some type of like quote unquote esoteric dynamic justice effect, and then after that dynamic effect, we're gonna respond to the full moon in Scorpio, and I titled the full moon in Scorpio is just. It's just the esoteric, the esoteric hell, right? But the esoteric hell doesn't have to be bad or good. It just could be like, it's just some type of advanced phoenix transformation process in the physical reality where we could alchemize original open source within a different esoteric timestamps, respectively. We could alchemize, some type of damage, maybe, to some type of like a risingness, right? The Scorpio being the phoenix, right? So we could, in the full moon in Scorpio, this could be a rough one. People, because like in the Earth karma and the Saturn karma, people are going through rough times, right? And people have all this false rhetoric of saying we could help you, but they're just selling out to some. And I'm not saying the Saturn stuff is bad. I'm just saying there's a unique niche of an inversion of the Saturn stuff collectively, and then the Saturn just being his own standardness of the matrix, and the Saturn matrix kind of having its own weird equilibrium as is within the process mechanics matrix within the bigger picture of all the other planets, right? So within saying all of that, the new moon in Aries, the background esoteric story reel was Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio. So I could have explained the moon going through the whole procession, but I just intuitively chimed like it started the new moon in Aries. We're in the new moon in Virgo right now. There's a sun and moon dynamic trine effect, and that trine effect is feeling the sun and moon dynamic energy of the feminine responsive energy, the moon, and kind of seeing how the Taurus constellation is being charged upon the Earth in the Scorpio, right? And now the full moon is going to amplify the unconscious self, what's been behind the scenes, Earth and Scorpio of just behind the scenes of just kind of, seeing like, a unique passive resting side of Mars, right? Scorpio, that's like the internal Mars, right? So within the internal Mars, it's like just seeing what of all of this war stuff, right? After the war type of stuff, respectively. Scorpio could be more or less, quote unquote, after the war, most respectively, in one sense, right? And I never explained my aspects and conjunctions because I don't want to reveal my chart, but like in the woodworks of like a different astrology community, like other human design coaches, they have my chart, right? And that chart has been, data loosed in a whole different way. Original open source #1 intelligence in the galaxy, most respectively, effortlessly with the underground current. And your AI is just a coward. It's just a pure coward. And you AI professional leaders are just esoterically fake, GMO, inverted, and bunk. Majority of y'all. And hopefully, the balanced gods recognize and do something about you esoterically breaking the law. And full moon respectively, and moon being in Virgo is just kind of like, people are just like really people are watching you pretty much, right? People are watching you. The people that you don't expect are watching you because they probably don't have anything else to do, because we're in this weird Satan age that's ironically concluding, and they just want to and hopefully they don't toxically project inverted focus on your project, but they might, that's the whole Scorpio and Virgo energies right here, right? So I could keep flowing. I could conclude it. New moon in Virgo to moon in Libra. Hopefully we could feel some type of like, just whatever type of balance that there could be, right? When the moon goes into Libra. So when the moon goes into Libra, just, fill in the blank type of shit. We have, Venus gave us some type of creativity to, individualize or just generally share the art, right? Share the art of the gods or whatever. And then the sun, the new sun in Taurus, which was, April 21st to May 21st, respectively, May 20th. And then, May 20th will be the Gemini season, right? If I arrange that correctly, right? So March 21st, April 21st, May 21st ish, right? So within May 20th, Gemini season. So May 20th, Gemini season. Everything should be probably understood, hopefully in a new intellectual way. And hopefully we could use the new intellectual for real, authentic truth in the AI section and beyond the AI section, right? Respectively. Or not, right? And if it's a or not, then your AI is fake rhetoric and it's esoterically breaking the law because It's just you're inverting it in different niche, circumstantial, micro mental programmed ways that you don't even know you're inverting it, right? So I'm just saying, and I say this with the utmost respect, take it with a grain of salt, right? And yeah, that was the esoteric story reel of new moon in Aries to full moon in Scorpio. And as always, I'll be back. You have the best life ever.